Hey y'all. So this is going to be like a book haul, sort of, in that there's only like one book. But I'm also going to talk about one of my favorite authors and do a little mini review of, and I'll go ahead and start it, Bleeding Violet. And this has got that shiny like vellum cover on it. So here's the there we go. There's a good image of it. It has a really beautiful cover, but I just wanted to say what I liked about this book. And being a writer, I have different reasons for liking it. I think that one of the coolest things about it is that the narrator is a little bit unreliable in that, well, she's an anti-heroine, she's bipolar, so she's pretty crazy and unmedicated in a lot of the book. And I think what the author's done, Dia Reeves, by the way, what the author's done really well is showing the decompensation of a mentally ill person after they've stopped taking their medication and how that kind of switches up. And I think it's kind of hard to tell what is plot and what is sheer delusional hallucination craziness in this book. And that's why I loved it so much. Because anyone who has I have a background in mental health and psychotherapy and stuff. And what I know is that if you're off of medication, lithium or whatever, for any length of time, it takes a while to build back up into your system. So the fact that she stopped taking it could possibly mean that the entire book is a hallucination of some sort, which it may seem to be, because it is non-stop craziness. The other really cool thing, and having friends who are mixed race, I think it's really interesting that the protagonist is a mixed race character, and that it's kind of handled really in a fun way, and it's integrated in there in such a way that I think is interesting. I think you're going to love it. It's supremely readable, but it is definitely upper YA. Sex is handled in a really frank and almost kind of flippant way, which I think is fine. I mean, it's not like teens don't have sex or don't talk about it in a flippant way. I think it reads very well from the heroine's point of view. She has a tendency to be violent. I really respect that. I love this book for helping me to kind of understand, as a YA writer, understand the upper limits of how far you can push the genre. And I think Dia Reeves has done a really good job at that. And so that's my review of Bleeding Violet by Dia Reeves. All right, so what am I reading now? I am reading Y.S. Lee's The Agency, the first one, A Spy in the House. And I always want to say A Spy in the House of Love. Is that a song? That could be a song. It could be. And then I wanted to bring up that I am reading City of Bones. I'm listening to City of Bones, the audiobook. Why don't they use the covers of the books? This is wretched. Look at that. That has to be one of the most wretched audiobook covers I've ever seen. So I just started listening to it. I don't really have I like the tone of it. I like the voice that Clary has in Cassandra Clare's writing, and I think that's cool. I'm rereading a book for the first time ever. I've never reread a book. So this is a thing for me. I'm rereading Me Talk Pretty One Day by David Sedaris. And if you haven't read David Sedaris, you're missing out. He is absolutely hilarious. Very dry, kind of sardonic wit. And the sarcasm flows like fine wine up in this bitch. It is fascinating reading in the sense that it's crazy. And he's crazy, and I have established that I love the crazy. After I'm going to do that, I picked up Shadow Hills by Anastasia Hopkins. See how horrible these shiny book covers are? I don't know if it's my camera or what. But wanted to say that I've been excited about reading this stuff. I've been excited about reading YA that's not fantasy, because I've had some ideas about a premise that has nothing to do with fantasy, and so I'm going to go with that. And so I'm reading books that aren't fantasy. Anyway, I wanted to show you, because I did have my tiny book haul, although Shadow Hills is kind of a book haul, but my tiny book haul included Bite Me by Christopher Moore, and Christopher Moore is probably my favorite author. I read pretty much everything he's written. I mean, behind Stephen King and some other authors, but pick this up, 50% off. Got an additional 10 from the Barnes & Noble thing. So I'm excited about that. But if you've not heard of Christopher Moore, and I'll say that I learned about Christopher Moore by reading this book, Practical Demon Keeping, which is actually really fun. Probably, it's a first novel, and it's, it has some things that are, that are, I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad. I think that I loved it. Obviously, it got me to read his books. But my favorite of his is Coyote Blue, which is his second book, and so that he's been able to keep turning them out and that I love them is great. But what I was going to say was, some first books do suffer from first book blues. I mean, you can get mixed up in plotting, things like that. But I think overall, it's a really entertaining book, and it if you like it, it's going to be because of the comedy and his irreverent storytelling. So, but I pulled out a whole stack of stuff that I have from him. All my signed book stash. But I wanted to say, because Bite Me is a paranormal, it's a vampire, sort of a love story kind of a thing, I wanted to make sure that people were aware that it was a trilogy. And it starts with Blood-Sucking Fiends, and these are vampire novels that are set in San Francisco, in a very funny San Francisco, with turkey bowling and crazy homeless people and stuff like that. It's just great. And the second book adds one of my favorite, You Suck, a love story, Christopher Moore, adds one of my favorite characters in all of paranormal fiction, and her name is Abby Normal, and she has a first-person perspective in this that is hilarious. And I noticed that it continues in Bite Me, so I'm very excited to read the third book in that series. One of the funniest books he's ever written is called The Stupidest Angel. And it's a Christmas tale that is full of zombies and just horrible stuff. And none of these books are YA, but I mean, I certainly would have read them as a kid, and I think they're absolutely hilarious. His probably most famous book is A Dirty Job. It's about a guy who becomes the Grim Reaper, and it was nominated for a Quills Award, which I don't even believe that the Quills Award is even around anymore, so that's interesting. Let's see. Lamb, The Gospel According to Biff, Christ's Childhood Pal. This is like a special edition of it. Did I have it signed? It is signed. This one's signed. But what they've done is it's got the gold thing. It's actually printed up like a Bible. And this book is very irreverent and funny. It's not sacrilegious at all, if anyone has concerns about that. It's told in a way that's light and at the same time very poignant and hilarious. So I have not read Fluke. This is the one book of his that I haven't read. And I'm definitely going to get on that this year. I plan on getting on that. But this is my treasure right here. I don't know if you can read that. Okay, on the outside of this is an arc for Christopher Moore's book Fool, which is a takeoff on the King Lear by Shakespeare tragedy. Warning, this is a bawdy tale. Herein you will find gratuitous shagging, murder, spanking, maiming, treason, heretofore unexplored heights of vulgarity and profanity, as well as non-traditional grammar, split infinitives, and the odd wank. If that sort of thing bothers you, then gentle reader, pass by, for we endeavor only to entertain, not to offend. That said, if that's the sort of thing you might enjoy, then you have happened upon the perfect story. One Day Laydown, on sale, $210.09. So it's a while back. But it's the Ark, and I'm sure you've seen that cover before. And it is signed to Mark, which is my real name, Piss Off, which, it's my prized possession because I'm totally, absolutely, he's heroic to me, frankly. So that's what I've got for you today. What else would you like to hear me talk about? I mean, I got nothing. At some point I want to be talking about The Agency, which I hope to read over the next couple days and get it done. It's actually it's not very long. I should be able to get through it. But other than that, what do you want me to talk about? I could talk about anything, obviously.